Today I want to talk about a term that the Buddha used that's very difficult to understand, and that is detachment. So I'm calling this detachment is not distance. Detachment is a space of intimacy. It's a simple reconciliation of this notion of self and other, which exists in you. If you've ever used the phrase, I'm only human, you won't quite understand what detachment means. So I'll do my best to explain that it's a simple intimacy sensed in the person who realizes that maybe I am not only human, but something much more. I hope you'll stick around. Unless you've experienced this firsthand, it is a strange concept, the notion of being detached from the physical self. But it happens. And it's all about the understanding of understanding. It's the part of you that understands that you understand. It's the part of you that is aware that you are aware. It's a strange metacognition that feels like not me, but is me. See, this is the duality that we face as humans. Me or I, and not me. And spiritual reconciliation or understanding is that you are all of it, and that everything is a synonym. It's trying to understand the negation or the inverse as you or a reflection of you. So I'll describe how it feels, and maybe you'll relate in some ways. If you haven't already experienced this in some dimension. Recently, I was riding my bike, just yesterday, and I felt a depression, an emptiness, a loneliness, a sadness. But I didn't feel lonely, sad, and depressed. That's what this is about. There is this deeper sense that is unaffected by the superficial emotion. Now, perhaps maybe you have experienced something like that. That your body feels pain, or your character feels a sickness, or something on the superficial level, but the deeper part of you is not affected. What I noticed in my little wave of depression is that it didn't overtake me. That's interesting, because it felt like the emotion and the body and the character, Ryan, was experiencing a little wave of sadness. But under it, I was singing. I felt a contentment that was detached from the emotion. And so that's what it means to get carried away by your emotions. You see, we have a hard time defining I, because our language is filled with the idea that I can be consumed in my mind. I can be consumed in addiction. I can be consumed in mindlessness. I can be lost. I can lose control. So it seems like the I is different than the emotion itself. And it is. And that the character that you play, the bodysuit that you appear to be wearing, is different. Jesus called this relationship I and my Father. But he put it in this language: I and the Father are one. This is saying self with a capital S, if there is such a thing, and other, the reflection of that self, which appears as a body, has a story, a biography, and the matter itself is secondary to that. And that's what most people believe themselves to be: only human. But you cannot recognize yourself as only human if there wasn't the negation. Not human. There is that self and other. There's that duality that always seems to be with us. And we don't really give that much thought, do we? That we can talk to ourselves, we can listen to ourselves, we can lie to ourselves, we can make ourselves laugh. And then when we sort of get into the mechanics, you have to really listen to the way you speak. We say, my body, my hand, my eyes, as if they're not me. And then we talk about emotions as if the emotion is me. I am depressed. We don't say, I am body, do we? I am skin. And we say, I have skin. But then when we get into the emotional content, we equate ourselves with it. I'm sad. I'm rich. I'm lonely. And so in that, you begin to sense that you have a very difficult time describing self. And that the relationship of me and myself, or me and my life, is squirrely. And so we live with this notion that we're just confined to the bag of skin that we carry around. We are only human and we mess up. We're isolated. And we are detached from other people and the universe or the cosmos. That's distance. That feels like separation. That kind of detachment is what the church would call sin, without being disconnected from everything, being on your own. It's as if the universe brought you here and now you have to fend for yourself. So that's the illusion you want to overcome. This kind of detachment is detaching from the illusion of self, and not the true, deeper sensation of the animating presence which underlies all living things. See, the thing is, you can't be detached from the cosmos and the microcosmos. Everything is connected. What we want is to be detached from the illusion of separation. And I don't know quite how that happens. It happens in what's called a conversion. It's weird because conversion is a dual term. What's converting? The sense of the eternal parent, the service becomes apparent. And so this detachment that the Buddha talked about is a kind of immunity to getting into the extremities that draw people away from the central anchor that is unaffected by emotion, sickness, and the busyness of life. That kind of immunity is not protective. What's interesting about the word immune, it means at its root in meaning not, and munis meaning service, not ready for service. The kind of immunity that we think of is protective. But this detachment or spiritual immunity is being ready to serve because you realize that's the inherent nature of the self that underlies all of nature. And the false self is the illusion that you have to watch out for your body. And you're under attack. It's paranoia. You're also detached from paranoia. You're also detached from the fear of death. And you're also detached from the notion that you are in danger. So it's an intimacy in knowing that there is no death. Consciousness is eternal. And you are the deeper I that is witnessing this. And that the character is secondary to that. And doesn't really have a power of its own. So that's my definition of detachment. It's an intimacy of self and other, not an extremity of self and other, where you're trying to protect yourself, defend yourself, prove yourself. This is something much deeper. It's related to the service of the greater good. And then it's not immunity in the protective sense, it's community. Commune. Remember, munis means service, so this is co-service. So the character, this outer illusion of your separate self, begins to serve the greater good, which is your deeper self, and detaches from the illusion that you are only human. There's so much more than that. And when you experience this, your sicknesses, your setbacks, the things that ail you and get you swept into a frenzy, no longer do that, because you're this central space which detects something much deeper that wants to be expressed through you. I hope that you're experiencing detachment, not distance, intimacy, simplicity, spaciousness, contentment, even when your character might be a little depressed or even sick. My body is a little sick, but I am well under it. And I hope that you can sense that. And I hope that you are detaching from the egoic tendency to believe that you are only human and fending for yourself. My name is Ryan. I hope that you found these insights to be helpful to you in your journey. I hope that you will check out my blog. It's called mymorningmotivator.com, or one of my books on Amazon. And thank you for watching.